This is the OMFL.
You can't touch this.
And you're in the mix with Kinda Real Nate. Here's another OMFL production.
Good morning, and welcome to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, and we got the whole crew. It is season 80. We are rolling. We are 4 weeks deep into season 80, and I got all my buddies back together. The whole band is back together again. Guys, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Ready to watch college football.
Wonderful.
All good in the hood.
Mr. Maniac has been up for 75,000 hours straight, and so he's a little tired, but he's hanging in there, and he's with us here today because the OMFL is that important to him, and that's how much I appreciate these guys, man. I am, as always, your commissioner, the host, Kinda Real Nate, and I'm excited that you guys are with me, and with me is Mr. Dwayne with the Colts, which I'm still not used to saying, Dawson with the Redskins, and then Mr. Maniac hanging out with me with the Bucks. Maniac, we got to change your profile picture because you were with the Cardinals when we made this thing. We got to get it all adjusted and get it fixed up. But, man, we are here. It is season 80, and we are rolling, and there have been some already ups and downs, some surprises, but I really feel like we're getting really, really close to being able to hit our stride and find out exactly what we need to do. So let's jump right in there. Let's catch everybody up with where we are. Let me cover weeks 1 through 3 really, really fast. Brand new Daddy Leagues websites came out today or yesterday. I forget. Yeah, it was yesterday. They came out yesterday, so ours has not been adjusted from default outside of the banner. I did get the banner adjusted, but everything else needs to be worked on. We're working on that if you guys just give us some time. But let me cover week 1. The Vikings are victorious over the 49ers 13-9. Packers beat the Bears 14-10. The Colts whip the Bengals 52-13. The Ravens with a 23-3 victory over the Bills. The Saints with a 9-0 victory over the Buccaneers. The Panthers 17, the Cowboys 12. The Jaguars fall to the Giants 10-15. The Lions with a 16-6 victory over the Jets. The Raiders win 16-12 at home over the Rams. The Chiefs with a nice victory 25-3 over the Chargers. The Falcons with a 22-19 victory over the Eagles. The Redskins 27, the Cardinals 14. The Seahawks flexing their muscles 31-23 over the Broncos. The Steelers 27, the Browns 10, and the Texans 31, the Patriots 6, the Titans 27, the Dolphins 20. And that's week 1. Cover week 2 really quick. This is probably a really bad idea. You know what? I'm scrapping it. I'm not going to do this to everybody who wants to sit here and let me read off scores, but you can kind of see them. Let's go ahead and get started and just talk about your favorite game from week 1, week 2, or week 3. And I always laugh whenever I put this on the agenda. It never fails. Dawson and Dwayne picks one from every single week. So I'm going to limit them today. They got to just pick one of their favorite games from one of those weeks. Dwayne, we're going to start with you. Give me your favorite game from week 1, week 2, or week 3.
Mine's going to fall in week 3 this week. It's going to be the Packers and Redskins game.
Somebody's Hot Pocket is ready.
I think somebody's eating good over there. I picked the Packers and Redskins games from week 3. Both teams came in the game doing pretty well this season. The Packers doing extremely well, I think, out of the box, and especially how the passing game had been going this season, and how much he relies on the pass. I really thought he would struggle coming out of the gate, and he proved me wrong. He's played really well so far, and Dawson has came with a new team in the NFC East, knowing that he has to come out the gates, hot, because the NFC East is so deep that he's got to come out playing good. You can't afford to fall behind in that division. And this game came down to the wire. Dawson ended up winning this game 23-17 in overtime. It was a really good game. If I'm not mistaken, and Dawson might correct me on this, he was behind going into the fourth, kind of went back and forth, and scored towards the very end to force overtime, and got in overtime and took care of business. If you look at some of the stats, it's really interesting to look at because if you looked at it, you thought they'd be opposite. The Redskins, Alex Smith threw for over 400 yards, 403 yards on 24 out of 35 passing, 2 touchdowns. He did have 3 interceptions. The running games weren't spectacular for the Redskins. I think he had 66 yards rushing. And he's 44% on third down. Like I said, he did have 3 turnovers, which he was able to overcome. If you go to the Packers, Rodgers had 271 yards, passed 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. I know Priest even said the next day in the chat that he lost the game and he hated losing, but he was really proud of himself for not throwing any interceptions. And hey, that's always a win. You got to find a win somewhere in a loss. His rushing game actually did pretty decent. He almost had 100 yards rushing between Montgomery, Williams, and Jones. Cobb showed up real well, and I think Dawson was about tired of seeing Cobb towards the end of that game. But this game just went back and forth. It was 2 teams that are both playoff caliber teams in the NFC. It was for a 23-17 game, the offense was actually pretty explosive. Dawson had 200-yard receivers in this game, and this just a game. Honestly, I look at this game as an early playoff matchup because I can see both of these teams, especially the Redskins, making the playoffs out of this group. I think the Packers are competing in the NFC North, and I think you just got an early playoff type caliber matchup early in the season that, like I said, came down to the wire, and the Redskins pulled out in overtime.
I do have one question about this, though. And Dawson, this is going to be for you. How the hell did you get 2 receivers over 100 yards, including one almost 200 yards? That's like the secret to this Madden.
I was down the whole game, and Priest and his Packers, the D-line was just stuffing my running, as you can see on the stats. So I had to rely on my passing. I got lucky a few deep balls, and then the very last to win a walk-off passing touchdown to Richardson. I think that ended up being like 60 yards or maybe a little bit more than that. So that was majority of his receiving yards was on that one last touchdown catch. But to be honest, as you see, I had those 3 interceptions, so I didn't get as lucky as I wanted to. But I did get lucky at the very end on that one pass play.
Well, your 2 receivers has more receiving yards in that one game than my quarterback has all 3 games. Maniac, let's go to you. What's your favorite game from week 1, 2, or 3?
Well, I probably had to say that my favorite game was the Cowboys and Seahawks, and that was from week 3. Definitely, it was a hard-fought match. I mean, the Cowboys are coming in, I think, to this game at 0-2. I believe they just got their first win in week 4. But, I mean, Mo is doing his Mo thing and just dominating right now, and just he's just chugging right along like it was Madden 18 all over again so much. So, but I really thought that the game was close. I didn't get a chance to see all of it, but definitely Mo had Wilson going. He had 200 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He's 15-27. The one thing that kind of surprised me a little bit was his actual rushing stats were down a little bit.
Way down.
So with the Cowboys, Massimo, he was able to kind of control that, and it definitely made the game closer. I believe Mo's top running back is hurt, and then he traded away somebody. And I thought I seen him say something about he wished he wouldn't have traded him away now. And that's one thing that's going to play a big part, I think, into this Madden. That there is injuries across the board, offensive line everywhere, and you're going to have some depth to make sure that your team is able to compete down the road if you have an injury and stuff. But the game was really close. I mean, I thought it was a really good game. Like I said, Massimo was able to get almost 200 yards passing. He had 18 of 31 for 166. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. This was a game that been seeing multiple games have like 4 and 5 interceptions. This was one that was played more close to the hip, and guys were more conservative, and it definitely showed in the final score with it being a close game.
Yep, it was definitely a really close game, and you got to give the Dallas Cowboys a hand for being able to keep that close. The Seahawks definitely are not the Seahawks of old, but the record is not going to tell us that. Dawson, what was your favorite game for Week 1, 2, or 3?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Week 1 game between the Rams and the Raiders. Pretty much aside from a few owners, Wheeland and Dealand, the star players or players around on the roster. We all start with the stock rosters, and the NFL Rams. That defense is loaded with a lot of talent, a lot of star players. And just looking at the box score, it looks like it gave Derek Carr and the Raiders some trouble, and kind of forced some hands, some bad throws, as you can see on that. But looking at the stats, you have Derek Carr throwing for 161 yards off 9 of 20 passing attempts, 5 interceptions, and just 1 lone touchdown pass. And then for the Rams, you have Jared Goff throwing for 118 yards, 11 for 21, with a touchdown and an interception each. Like I said, it was a defensive game, to say the least. 4 sacks total for the whole game, a total of 8 turnovers. 5 for the Raiders and 3 for the Rams, and then both teams didn't really execute the third down conversion. The Rams at 30%, the Raiders at 33%. So it was a tough defensive battle right out the gate in Week 1. Raiders did end up winning the game 16-12, and they're currently 4-0, with the Rams currently 1-2.
Yep, it was another really close game, and the Oakland Raiders are sitting at 4-0, which is something to be super impressed by. So the game that I'm going to go with is actually, I want to say it was week number 3. Let me just make sure. It's either week 2 or 3. I'm definitely sure it was week number 2. And now, just because I want to bring it up, my internet's wanting to be slow. It was week number 2. It was the Steelers and Buccaneers. Now, I got to watch this game live the other day. The Buccaneers come away with a 29-28 victory, and he's tired, and so I'm not going to beat him up too bad today. But the guy who's probably complained the most about this Madden is sitting at 2-1, and the one loss was a CPU game where his internet was down and we couldn't play, and I had to end up playing the CPU. But I watched this game, and it was outstanding. Both of these teams battled back and forth. The Buccaneers are going to be a defensive team. That's what Maniac is. He's going to get more efficient on offense, and I know that he's not as explosive as he wishes he was, but I mean, he still put up almost 200 yards passing from Winston. Jones threw in 57 yards rushing, so he's got a little bit to figure out with the rushing yards, but his defense held the Steelers under 100 yards rushing. Big Ben did throw for 226, but they picked him off 3 times. The reason this was my favorite game of weeks 1, 2, or 3 is because at the very end there were some questionable calls on both sides. The Steelers were making some drives. The Buccaneers were taking some chances trying to get that interception and left themselves open to some big plays. And Maniac, you can definitely fill in some gaps here at the end, but the last 2 plays, the clock was ticking down. There was no more timeouts for the Steelers, or maybe he did have 1 timeout. I forget exactly how it went. But he was clearly in field goal range. He could have kicked the field goal to win the game. The Buccaneers had taken a chance at a play call that left them open in the middle of the field. But instead of kneeling the ball or taking the timeout or kicking the field goal, the Steelers ran a no huddle and went for the win instead, with a touchdown instead of the field goal. The Buccaneers again made this questionable defensive call, trying to make a big play, left themselves open. I think it was Brown or maybe it was Schuster Smith. It was Schuster Smith catches a big post route in the middle of the field, gets hit at the 2-yard line. 99.9% of the time he's going to tumble in the end zone. The Buccaneers would have lost the game, but some way, somehow, another player hits him from the back. Schuster Smith falls at the 6-inch line, the game is over right there, and the Buccaneers come away with a 29-28 victory. I was sitting on my couch next to my wife watching this game. I went absolutely nuts. This would have been such a fun game to call and to put some commentary on, which we didn't even talk about that. We did a commentary game between the Redskins and Colts, and that was actually a really good game. I did it alone, which kind of sucked, but it was actually a really good game that those two guys battled in. But this was my favorite game from week 1, 2, or 3. It needs to be in our OMFL Insta Classic game thread. I don't know if these guys have submitted it, but that was a great game. Tell us about the ending of that game, Maniac.
Well, I mean, it was a nail biter, and he actually did take a timeout, and I really thought he was going to kick the field goal, but with the all Madden settings, we don't have the kicking art and stuff, so I think he thought secondly about it. He came out in the offensive play, and I'm thinking, okay, there's 7 seconds left. He's got to try to be getting a quick out to get closer for maybe an easier field goal, something like that. So I went with the cover 2, and that is like the worst thing to call for a 4 wide and get a post route in the middle of the field because you're wide open. And he ran exactly that. I don't know if something in the defensive set tipped him off to it, but I don't like running cover 2, but in that situation, I thought that was the best thing to cover the outside sidelines. And but he burnt me, and I was doing everything I could to make sure that receiver did not cross that goal line. So whenever that one guy grabbed the hold, started spinning him around, at that point in time, I'm clicking buttons. So it worked out, and brought him down. I'm sure the ref in real life would have had to bring out the index card to make sure that the nose of the ball did not cross the goal line. So, but yeah, it was an insanely intense game.
Yeah, it was a really good game. You guys should submit that for our instant classic game of the that will go in our thread, I should say, if I can spit those words out, because that was definitely an instant classic game that needs to go in the history of the OMFL. And that kind of brings us to our next part. We're a couple weeks deep here. Teams are kind of figuring each other out. Teams that we thought were going to be good are figuring the game out. Teams that we didn't know if they were going to be good are figuring some things out. And so my next question to you guys is, and Dawson, we're going to start with you, is what has been your biggest surprise through weeks 3 in season 80?
Yeah, I would say the biggest surprise to me so far are the teams that are still undefeated. I know we're kind of talking weeks 1 to 3, but we're kind of in week 4. You got Houston Texans, they're 4-0. Then you got Seattle Seahawks 4-0, which is really no surprise for the Seahawks. But the Raiders, they're 4-0. So really, those Texans and the Raiders are kind of surprising to me, in my opinion, on that. But if you look over the Houston schedule, UNV he's been able to come out on top in those really close games. He had a close one last night. I won't touch up on it because I know it's a touchy subject for Dakota right now, but yeah, but to say that he's still got a tough schedule going. He's still got to play Brady twice, still got to play the Colts twice. I think he even got to play Seahawks once in that. I could be wrong with that. But he has really kind of surprised me because when we did the preseason favorite podcast a couple weeks ago, I had him placed, at least in the bottom of the division, and here he is. He's top of the division right now. So I mean, there's still a ton of games to go, but that's a big surprise for me. Then you got the Raiders. I played them all last cycle, and so I really know what he can bring to the table. He's really got that team. Is set to win now. He's got Marshawn Lynch. Carr is playing, other than that week 1 game, he's playing well. He's got that running game going. But again, he's got a tough division to play in and a tough couple weeks. He's got to play, Chargers in week 5, Seahawks in week 6, then the Colts in week 8 after a bye. So it's going to be a tough next couple weeks for the Raiders to stay undefeated on track. And then, the Seahawks, they're just the regular Seahawks like they have been. I mean, Mo, he can have a roster that's talented like the 2008 Lions that went 0-16 and still come out on top of the majority of his games. He's a top GM, a top owner or coach here in OMFL. So I mean, it's like I said. I guess we always talk about it, how well he's playing, but it is interesting how he's able to trade the players and then steadily win the game. So that's just to show his skill level as far as GMing and being a coach here, and playing that style.
Maniac, what's been your biggest surprise here in week 3 through season 80?
Well, there is a lot of different ways we could go with the 4-0 teams, but the way I'm going to go is with the Philadelphia Eagles. They're sitting with probably the most talented roster so far in the OMFL with a 90 overall team, and he's sitting with an 0-3 record. I did get to play him, and our game was pretty close. I think I won like 29-24, but I had zero offense against him, and the only thing that saved me against him was I had 2 pick sixes in that game. So he is ranked in the bottom in almost every category on defensive side of the ball, and he has such a talented defensive roster. So this is very, very shocking to me. He ranks last, 32nd, with 27 points a game given up. So that is tops in the league. And with that front seven that he has, and he has a very decent defensive backfield, it's amazing to me. I mean, this is a shocker to me that he's in this position. His offense is actually a middle of the road. Passing yards, he's 29th. Rushing yards, though, he's got his rushing game going. He's got Le'Veon Bell, J.I.J., and he's racking up 165 yards a game rushing. But he's only putting up 20 points a game. So he's keeping it close, but he can't seem to seal off those close games. And that has to do with that defense not performing at what they're rated.
Yeah, and Carson Wentz is not helping anything at all. He's got 7 interceptions, no touchdowns for a guy that's, supposed to be the next big thing in this league, an 87 overall guy that can, make all the throws with the big cannon arm and has some speed to kind of move around the pocket if he needs to. He's got to play better, and you would expect with that running game that you spoke of that he would play better. The Eagles definitely have a whole lot left to figure out. D-Wayne, what's your biggest surprise in the season 80, week 3 that you have?
Well, I could go the negative route and go on a team that I thought would perform better, but I'm going to try to be a positive Pete this morning. And I'm going to just go with the Packers. I'm going to go with the Packers because I think, when we talked about earlier this season, I thought that he would have trouble with this new Madden, and as much as he likes to pass the ball, I just figured it would be a recipe for disaster the way he likes to pass it. But he's came out and he beat a solid Bears team, he beat a solid Vikings team. He lost in overtime to a Redskins team. They took care of business against the Bills. Started the season 3-1. You start looking at some of the statistics. He does pass the ball well. Offensively, he's doing good this season. The one thing that he's really doing good about is he does have 9 interceptions through 4 games. And I hate to say it like that to Priest, but that's pretty low for Priest, especially going into the way he likes to pass the ball and the way that this Madden is set up. But he has gotten a little bit better at taking care of the ball. I think Rodgers started off the season 8 interceptions the first 2 games, and he's had 1 interception the last 2 games. So he is taking strides to improve on turning the ball over. And I just think, we all talked about at the start of this Madden is somebody needs to make their mark and put their foot down in that division because, like I said, with Bill leaving that division, it was kind of wide open to somebody need to be the head honcho of that division. And I kind of had in my head that the Lions would be the team to take that step, towards this division. But as of right now, like I said, the Packers are trying to, show us that the NFC North is his division. He's took care of business against everybody he's had to take care of so far. And honestly, I think Dawson could even tell you that he probably should have won that game against the Redskins. He could just as easily be 4-0. But I think Priest is really surprising because, like I said, I just didn't think the way that this season has constructed itself, that the way he likes to pass the ball, I didn't think it'd work in his favor. But he has, like we were talking about the other day, and he hasn't really complained about it. He's just kind of adjusted his game plan and worked his way around it and has found a way not to throw 8 interceptions in 2 games. I I have to give a shout out to Priest on that one, that he has adjusted his game plan, and I'm sure he plays in like 8 different leagues, so he's getting plenty of practice. But I mean, you have to give credit where credit's due, and I'm sure there's nobody. I'm not knocking Dakota. Him and Dakota are probably right neck and neck. There's nobody more prideful in his favorite team than Priest is, and he's, like I say, he's showing off good so far this season with his Packers.
He needs to give him up next Madden so I can stop hearing Dawson cry about not having his Packers. So
yeah, for PayPal on him something.
It's that was going to be one of my biggest surprises. Are the Atlanta not the Atlanta Falcons. Sorry, the Green Bay Packers, the New York Giants. Right, they're right along there. Pepper and Maniac are probably blood brothers somewhere down the line. Those two bitch and moan and cry about this game, and yet are always in the playoffs. Like, I have no heart for either one of those guys, man. But both of them have gotten things figured out. They're playing really well. I'm going to go another direction. I'm going to say the Cincinnati Bengals. They're sitting at 2-2, which is nothing to be upset or angry at, but their last two losses, or their two losses, I should say, were pretty dramatic. They lost against Dwayne and his Colts by very dramatic fashion, and then last night lost to the Atlanta Falcons in a game that really wasn't even as close as the score would indicate. Now, some of this has to be curtailed a little bit. He's doing this with a 74 overall team. Andy Dalton, a 77 overall quarterback, is his quarterback. So he definitely is short some weapons, but he's still, even being short those weapons, he's still a top 5 offense. He's 8th in points at 21 points a game. He's 4th in total yards, 4th in passing yards, 7th in rushing yards, and that's pretty impressive when you're doing this with Andy Dalton. Now, he's got some really great receivers, of course, but he's still, you can only play with the quarterback that you have, and that's pretty impressive what he can do. On defense, that seems to be where his struggle is. Now, he's 4th in yards, which is really good, but he's 23rd in points, giving up 20 points per game. He's 20th in passing yards, 139.5 per game, and then 28th in rushing yards, 110 per game. I find it a little comical that 139 yards, which is an extremely low number, still puts you 20th in this league right now as we're trying to figure out some of these all Madden settings. I think we're getting them close, but there's still definitely work to be done. I assume that number will adjust as well as his defense, but he's just giving up a lot of points on his defensive side of the ball, and that's why he finds his team at 2-2, and that's a big surprise. We all know that the Bengals have dominated. Now, he's got a whole new crop of power that's sitting in the AFC with him, but that has been a really, really dominant team up to this point, and so that's a really big surprise for me. Let's kind of transition. We talked about what surprises we had, and Dwayne said he was trying to be positive Pete today, but it's time to go sleep with negative Nancy for a little bit. And I want you to talk about the teams that need to show you something this year. And Maniac, we're going to start with you. What is a team that needs to show you something this year?
Well, we all know negative Nancy crawls out of my bed pretty much every day. So. But the team that needs to show me something is the Dallas Cowboys. And we all know that I'm a Cowboy fan, and I had to give up my Cowboys last season. But Massimo, you got an 84 overall team, man, and you got abundance of talent on there, which I think he's just like trading lots of guys away too. So I'm not sure exactly why he's trading some of those guys away, but he's obviously got a plan. But right now he's in the middle of the road. Pretty much in every category on defense and offense. Pretty much he's mirrored on both sides of the ball where he places on passing yards taken, passing yards given up, rushing yards, and so on, and points given up and points scored. He's given up 16 points a game. He's scored 18 points a game. So he's just middle of the road. Last night's game against Detroit in Week 4, he actually showed something, and this was something that I didn't really look at until now. I'm seeing day leagues and stuff. I mean, he scored 31 points on Detroit. Detroit's got a defense that's not something to sneeze at. So He's definitely showed something in that game. Now let's keep building off of that and put something together, because your roster is something that can be dominant on both sides of the ball, and I expect to see it from him.
D. Wayne, what do you think? Who's the one team that needs to show you something this year?
I could take the easy route and just say the whole AFC East.
There you go.
That division, man, just I don't know what to say. I called earlier this season. I said it would be Kev's division. I thought he would get that division, and then you had Cly, who has always been a solid playoff team here. He went over to the Jets. Tanner went to the Patriots, we all know the Patriots are built to win. You got the best quarterback in the league, best tight end in the league. You got weapons around him. Short-term weapons, but you do have some weapons for a year or two. And the Bills, who, like I said, I even think Calm would tell you the Bills are a work in progress. But he's one of them guys that it don't matter what team he has, he gives you a run every time you play him.
Yeah.
And that division just hasn't shown anything. Like I said, I figured if you start looking through all the other divisions, you got the AFC West, who is solid. AFC North, we know is going to be solid. Even with Chaotix in that division, 0-4, he's way better than his record says. Once he gets his offense on track, I think he'll get together. The AFC South is going to be a struggle all year with them guys vying for position. But the AFC East, man, it's hard to narrow down just one team, just because I'm really disappointed, especially in the Dolphins and Jets. I figured those two guys would, and like I said, it's early. They got a lot of time to prove me wrong. It's early, but I expect a lot more out of them. I figured Tanner would have time to put his Patriots in. I still think he has time. You do have the best quarterback in the league, and, man, he's had a struggle passing the ball this year. He's only averaging 10 points a game. The Bills, I know he didn't really want to start Josh Allen, but he did, just because that's the only way you're going to develop that guy. And so far he's averaging 9 points a game this season. And 9 points a game ain't going to win the game for nobody unless you're Chaotix. So, man, it's just tough. The AFC East has just got to show me something. If not, you might have, if the way it's looking right now, you might have a 7-8 win team making the playoffs out of that division unless they can get it together, which I have hope for them, because I know how good Kevin can be. I know how good Clyde can be, Tanner, Calm. I know all four of them are good owners. The Dolphins are built to win right now, in my opinion. The Patriots built right now to win, in my opinion. And if anybody could turn an ugly Jets team to winning, it's Clyde. And like I said, Colin would tell you the Bills have a lot of work to do. They have a solid quarterback, but there's not a whole lot left on that Bills team. I think he has the longest road to success out of that division. Not saying he can't do it, but he has the hardest road. But them other three teams, man, I just expect way more out of them. I figure Clyde, just from owner aspect, I expected more out of him. And the other two teams are built to win right now and separate themselves. Somebody's got to separate themselves in that division. And I just don't want to look at the AFC East as a walkover division in the AFC. I just think the whole division needs to step up and be better. And I know I'll probably hear from one of y'all in the chat on that one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. The AFC East is a division that needs to step it up. There's definitely some playmakers and some teams that are ready to win there, but they have to show us something. Dawson, who do you think is the team or the division or the whole group that you think needs to show you something for season 80?
Well, I'll add a little bit more to that, and I would say the Patriots. I feel like they need to show something this season. It's like Dakota was saying, they're built to win right now. You got Tom Brady, Gronk, Edelman, all on offense. You got those pieces to I guess have a explosive offense. And then on defense, you got Hightower, Gilmore, McCourtney on. So he has the pieces to win now, but right now the stats are not showing it. The Patriots are 28th in points and 30th in points given up. So those two numbers don't really mesh well in the win column. But like I said, or like Dakota was saying, Tanner, he has proven he can win. Especially when he was with Tampa Bay last year, with the way he plays defense, he can win those games. So not really sure what's going on right now. But he also has a little small window with Tom Brady. We all know that he's getting up there in age, and he, maybe a year, maybe this is only season, or maybe he's got another season with Tom Brady. But he needs to have a contingency plan for post Brady era in the Foxborough in New England. And like Dakota, he touched up on it as far as one positive thing that he does have going for him is the whole division is not really playing very well. So he can still compete. He can still get in there and get the lead, the division lead. The 4 teams have a combined record of 2-12 so far. And this is just going into week 4, so there's still a ton of weeks left in the season, so anything can happen. But right now, the Patriots, they do have a chance. They just need to, I guess, act and take those advantages and at least try to compete for the division. And you never know what can happen, in the end of the season.
Yep, I think everybody's kind of looking at the Patriots to be a much better team. And you know what? Tanner is a very good player. I was surprised when he left the Tampa Bay Bucks. That team just seemed to fit him better. But I think he's going to get some things figured out. Matter of fact, just a few seconds ago, he posted in chat that he feels like he's found him a running back. So that's one less thing that he has to kind of worry about. I think when I think about the team that needs to show me something, of course, there is a couple of knee-jerk reactions. We've already talked about the Philadelphia Eagles. I would look at the San Francisco 49ers at 2-2. I mean, that is a really, really talented team. Now, look, the Rams know that I love him. I know that he was kind of, on the edge there for a little bit, but I think he's found a good place. That team is very talented. And once, like all of us, he figures out how to play this game to be more efficient, that's going to be a very, very good team. But I'm going to go ahead and hop over and talk about all of our good buddy. This scares me a little bit because I don't want him to put a hit out on me, but the Tennessee Titans and Bill. This is the team in a very tough division. I would say by far the toughest coach talent division that we maybe have ever had here in the OMFL. And Bill went from dominating in the NFC with the Minnesota Vikings in a pretty easy division to now every single game. Like his 6 division games every year are going to be a freaking Super Bowl. I mean, he's playing Super Bowl talent 6 times a year. And so that's going to be really tough. The team is not set up to fit his style. It's an older team, a team that he's going to have to make some moves to get them to fit what he wants. But I'm looking to them to show me something. 83 overall is not the Minnesota Vikings that he had last time. Again, he's got some work to do, but you look at his defense, he's getting it done with the rushing yards. He's going to have to be better with passing. And again, like we spoke with some teams earlier, he's giving up way too many points. 19 points per game, 27th in total yards at 307. And then you look at his offense where he seems to have the most struggles. He's 13 points per game for 24th in the league. He's 215 yards per game for 27th in the league, 164 passing yards for 21st in the league, and then dead last in rushing yards at 50.7. He just needs to find him a running back. He needs to get that offensive line figured out to buy him some time, and I think he just needs to pick it up. Watching his games, his tempo is a little slow for Madden 19. I'm in the same boat, same struggles. My tempo is really, really slow. You got to pick that tempo up. You got to get it rolling so that you can be able to make the plays that you need to make. And I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans as the team that really needs to show me something. So that's a really good look at the OMFL through 3 weeks, or we're in the middle of week 4, but through 3 full weeks in season 80. And now it's time to turn to our favorite part that we got to start advertising and getting everybody woken up for, and that is our owner submitted questions. And we only get one, and it is from our good new friend, Mr. Maniac, Tony Bono, who is putting out new shows. I haven't seen you advertise the new show, so before we get into your new question, I know the new show's out, or have we advertised it? We need to get it posted. We need to blast it.
Yeah, I haven't actually advertised a whole lot because I didn't have a whole lot of time the last couple of days, but I was able to get one in. The voice quality is not quite as good as the first 4 because my mic is messed up thanks to a few kids involved. So, but yeah, I need to get it posted, and I'll try to get it posted today on the site as a blog and let everybody get a listen to it.
Well, today, as soon as the blog's up, we'll get it posted on our Twitter. And today, I'm making a Tony Bono code so that everybody can easily find it. You can also just subscribe straight from YouTunes or wherever you get your favorite podcast. You can just subscribe and it'll update it. Mine updated yesterday as soon as it dropped. But Tony Bono wants to know, why is it that some teams are tearing up the football field that are on paper have a weaker looking offensive line? What is the secret ingredient? Anybody want to field that? I definitely have my own feelings about secret ingredients, but does anybody want to field that one?
Well, I'm ranked 13th so far, so I'm going to listen to the secret ingredient as well. Might be that Shan sauce from McDonald's or something, but whatever it is, I'm willing to listen.
D-Wayne, you've probably had the most success when it comes to running the ball and it just offense in general. That first game against the Bengals, I haven't seen any. I lie. I've seen your first game against the Bengals. Then I get, of course, called your game against the Redskins. But what do you find to be the secret to your success?
Man, it's. I've just always went by the same the KISS theory, the keep it simple, stupid theory. I don't try to do anything that I know my offense can't do. I don't have a whole lot of talent on the offside of the ball outside of like Luck and Hilton. I don't have anything crazy, so I just try to keep simple game plan. I do try to mix it up and throw some outside runs to complement my inside runs. It's one of the things I think I told me and Maniac talked about last Madden is you want to go in and you want the defense you want the other team to know what you're going to do and you just want to make them stop it. That's kind of what I go with. I don't try to do anything crazy. People know what I want to do with the ball, and I just kind of challenge you to stop it. And last night, for example, was a team that took me out of my game plan a little bit. And I have to give all the credit to the Texans last night. He made me throw a couple passes that I really wish I could have back. Took me out of my game plan, and I don't know, man. It's really tough because, like I said, some teams that aren't quite as good on paper are having good seasons. Then you got. I hate to beat a dead horse here, but the Eagles, the Patriots, two of the top teams in the thing that are just having really, I hate to say, they're having no success. The Eagles are in every game. The Patriots have not been in every game. And when you're throwing 12 picks with Tom Brady through 4 games, man, that's rough. And I don't know, man, that's a tough one. I would love to hear y'all's, anything y'all have on it. I really couldn't tell you. Why the disparity is there with a team like mine who's 77, 78 overall compared to, the Eagles who are 89 and the Patriots who are 87 overall.
Yeah, excuse me. I don't know that there's any secret sauce. I think that some of it is going to deal with the defense that the other team is calling, and I see that it seems like a lot of runs tend to get blocked well whenever you catch the other defense in a bad call, and those the waters open up and you're able to just make that gashing play. I am one of the teams that has not found a ton of success during the season. I was finding a lot of success before the season, but I've struggled with finding success during the season, especially since I've lost my kind of cowbell strong running back in Ingram, who's been hurt for the next 7 or 8 weeks with a broken collarbone. But the success I have found is whenever you catch the other team in a bad call. And I stick with it. Like you can see, and I know all of you guys stick with it also, but I'll get 17 to 22 runs pretty consistently. I'm struggling with trying to find my flow on the passing side of the game, especially after my last game. It's kind of stuck in my craw. Excuse me. The Falcons just pretty much dominated me from start to finish. There wasn't a man open all game long. I encourage anybody to go back and watch that film and tell me where I messed up, because I could not find it at all. He just dominated me. Now we've adjusted some sliders, and I think it'll get better. I get worried to adjust the run block sliders anymore just because they're pretty high, much higher than I think any of us could agree that we're super comfortable with. And I think that if we start going much higher, the receivers are going to be like offensive linemen, and then we're going to see an increase in counters and tosses and stretch plays because guys can get out to the receiver. The receiver is going to block like a 99 overall lineman, and it's just going to give up big plays. I think we're all just adjusting, right? All Madden plays a little different. This game definitely plays 1,000% different, and we're just all adjusting. And And at the end of the day, we've only had the game in hand playing, like with real settings that we found that we like, for like 2 weeks, maybe less than that. And so I think if these numbers still look like this when we start season 2, then it's definitely something that we got to look at. I think that's going to kind of lead us into the next conversation, and that's like things that we're seeing abused already. I think those things are also another reason we see run numbers down. We're seeing a lot of abuse with zone blitz on first down. We're seeing a lot of abuse of guys just sending zone blitzes in general, and that's really going to hinder the run. And then, look, man defense is very, very powerful. Again, the Falcons basically, they didn't, but they could have called man defense every single play without giving it any thought and dominated my pass and my run. And I think that's why we're trying to adjust a couple of these things as we kind of move along. But I don't know that there's any secret sauce outside of finding the running back and the run plays that really fit you. And Maniac, I think you were so good with that last Madden, and I struggled with it, right? And I knew that you and I had lots of conversations around what type of runs you could find success with and what type of offensive line you should build. And I had what I thought a super dominant offensive line, really good running backs. I was calling the same plays you were calling and finding zero success. I was getting hit in the backfield. And so I know that you have your thoughts about some games fit styles better than others and all of that fun stuff. I just think that it's young and that it is a very difficult game. We've stepped it up. We've gone all Madden, which comes with very unique challenges. Again, I just go back to we were too dominant on All Pro, and it was too easy for all of us, for most of us at least, and All Madden is that nice challenge that I think we all needed. And I don't think that, really good runners like yourself, Maniac, like Dawson, like Dwayne, of course, like the Seahawks, are going to stay on the bottom half of the league. I think as we get this game figured out, as you guys can build out your teams, the Bucs are not known for a great offensive line, not known for great running backs. Those are kind of weak areas in their real-life team. As you guys build your teams and get used to the settings, I do think that those numbers will increase. I was leaving it for a moment of radio silence just in case anybody else wanted to throw something in there. So let's move well, go ahead.
One thing is also that we kind of come across is these high flying or jumping linebackers in All Madden. And yes, I do completely agree as far as All Madden. It allows the balance to be a little more level, the playing field, but we still see the owners and players will come to the top eventually that do take their time and play the game. But it's like some of these linebackers, they when they hit the gym in the off season, they're just using the Super Cat machine or something because they can just jump really high. And but I think that's just the game because. Yeah, I would say it could be just the user that was doing it, but I had a lot of computer players or computer defense doing it too. So, and I think last game against Priest, I was in the goal line and I was about to throw a fade, a top to my tight end, and Jake Ryan, of all people, jumped up and just picked it off. A computer did. So I think that's just just a game that we just have to live with and move on. And I'm not really sure if there's any sliders that can affect that, but that's one thing that I can see that could be as far as a flaw in the All Madden. But as like you said, we only been working with All Madden for a couple weeks, and and the way we move on, it will be interesting to see which teams can stay on top and which teams can move up to the top.
Yeah, and that's even been curtailed with us adjusting all the attribute sliders for linebackers to play the ball conservatively. Man, it definitely it would be even worse if we weren't on all conservative for all linebackers. Which brings me to another point, totally sidebar, is that we need to check transactions, and edit any new players. I try to stay on top of that, but that's something we need to all do. So that does bring us to our last segment. I'm very interested to get all of your thoughts on this. I mentioned one, but what are the things that we're seeing kind of abused? I think for me, it goes back to that zone blitz. Guys are like zone blitz, first down, second down, man defense. I guess I get disappointed, but yet this is the way it is, right? Like, people learn what works, and then they just call that over and over and over and over. Even though we have the mix-up rules and all these other things, feedback farms and all these other things that we have, we are seeing some things abused, and that we just want guys to be aware of and just say, hey, even though we know this works really well, let's still keep mixing it up. What are some of those things for you guys?
For me, Nate, honestly, is just seeing it's a combination of two things. It goes back to your talking about how the run game doesn't work for some people. It does work for some people. I think you're seeing a lot of, and just and I know you wanted specific names yesterday, but it was just over a general watching a few games of guys running, and I'll say this with an exception of red zone, inside the 5, third and inches maybe. But on first down, running a 4-4 or a 4-6, or doing the thunder zone blitz, thunder smoke blitz on first down, stuff like that. Is just, in my opinion, just not looked. I don't look at it positively. Blitzing on first down, zone blitz. See, the zone blitz doesn't bother me as much. I think it's abused, but a zone blitz, you catch a zone blitz, if you run the ball the opposite side of a zone blitz, you're getting a 20-yard carry. And so I think guys really need to look at that when they call zone blitz over and over and over again, that it will backfire. Especially you get somebody with a fast back, somebody like Ziploc, or even Massimo with somebody like Zeke that can make that one cut, a real one cut, and make you pay for that. But I think excessive blitzing on first down is, I hate to say it, is abused. In my opinion, it's abused. And running those loaded 4-4, 4-6, and then running cover 3 zone out of it is another thing that I've seen ran quite a bit. And one more thing, and I'll get off my soapbox, is and I understand it's not banned, and I know it's not banned, and I know it's looked down upon to an extent, using the defensive line, but man, playing that nose tackle every play the whole game.
Oh, it's so annoying.
It might be the most annoying thing in it.
Yeah.
Say what?
No, I just was agreeing with you. It's so annoying.
Yeah, it is, and I understand. I come from a guy who 2 months ago I played the defensive end. I have never been a defensive tackle guy. I'm not taking away from playing a defensive tackle every once in a while. I played defensive end for a whole Madden in Madden 17. For a couple seasons in Madden 18, I made the transition over, and I will not go back. But to get the nose tackle every play, and I watched it against a game or two this week, that it is a, and I can't speak for the defensive end, I speak for the defensive tackle, which is what I was watching, was an insta shed nearly every play. And especially if you get somebody a little out of position on defensive tackle who is fast, or even a combination of fast and strong. I guess in my opinion, I just don't see the enjoyment out of that. And I'm not hating on guys who use their defensive line, because I understand some guys just want to do it. But when you just get that nose tackle and you're right off the center at the snap, you start creating problems in the offense, because the offensive guy wants to run shotgun the rest of the game, because he's got to have time for that insta shed to get the ball off. So it's a catch-22 in my opinion. I'll get off my soapbox there. I'll go back in my corner. But
no, I agree with all of those. I think those are all the major issues that I was going to bring up. Also, I'm not seeing a ton of major issues on offense, but those are definitely the ones on defense. I think on offense, the only issues I'm kind of seeing is same thing we've always had, right? Guys just lean on the bunch, closed formations on third down way too much. I'd like to see guys back off of using those every third down or every third and long. But what about you, Dawson or Maniac? What are some issues that you're seeing?
Yeah, y'all pretty much kind of touched it all on what I was kind of seeing, and but it's, like you said, it's just kind of general stuff that we see every cycle, or since I've been here. I guess this is my 3rd cycle. But I mean, the OMFL games, they usually last about an hour, and nobody really wants to spend an hour playing against somebody that stresses the rules. At least I don't. I mean, it's not fun. I can think of other ways to torment myself on that. But in the end, I think all of us, we are gamers. We're here for the community of gamers, and we're just here to have fun. So I do understand the competitiveness does come out in all of us, and we want to win. But just as a general, I guess, a flyer, just kind of, because if it does, I guess the urge to win, and if it's if you want to break FPR, it's going to stretch the rule or whatever. Just kind of, I guess, don't call it, or just call something else, and then that 5 minutes after the game, after you lose, at least for me, I'm fine. I mean, I just move on and go on and you go to the next game. But yeah, pretty much touched everything as far as what I was seeing and all that.
Well, I probably have a couple that's a little bit different and stuff, and you know how I am. I'm a little different than most, but the spin moves with the running backs is so overpowered. Like, I mean, you can, and I realize, you know, it's a move that you can use, but when you're doing it 2 and 3 and 4 times down the field, that's excessive. And I mean, it's stupid that, you know, you try to control your guy, and as you're controlling your guy, they do a spin move, and you're trying to break down and strafe.
Yeah.
And even if you're doing that, the guy will still go off to the side, like, you know, so you know, watch that spin move. I mean, you know, yeah, it's there, you can use it, but let's not be going down the field and, you know, 5 yards spin, go to the left, 5 yards spin, you know, and that's I mean, in real life, a guy that does that, by the time he makes second, third spin, he's going to be so broken down from exhaustion, because I mean, it takes a lot of effort to spin amongst those guys. He's probably going to get either a fumble or get the crap knocked out of him and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that I kind of see is the defensive shifting, and also constant. I mean, what I'm saying is excessive shifting. You flip, you play, then you shift.
Just adjustments.
Yes, adjustments altogether, and you know, you'll see the guy's screen just lighten up with all kinds of adjustments as the offense is coming to the line. You know, you're man aligning, doing this all in one play, and it's not just one play here, one play there. It's every play. You know, every play you're seeing that adjustment light just come up. You know, that's one thing that, you know, even on offense, you know, we're allowed only a certain amount of adjustments, you know, on the offensive side. You know, so it's unfair if you're sitting there making 5 to 6 minimum little adjustments every time. That gets on the excessive side. So that is one of the things I see that needs to be looked at, and you know, guys try to curtail that just a little bit.
Yep, I agree with you guys. I think you guys hit all the points that we needed to hit, and there's definitely things that need to be worked on. It always happens, right? There's these knee-jerk reactions to wanting to win, and I think that's probably been. I still think this is the best Madden ever created. Mm-hmm. Yes, we got to figure out some things with the sliders. I know some people don't like it. I hated 18. I guess that's why I think 19 is so good. But I think my biggest disappointment out of everything moving to 19 has just been the reaction of, I can't win, so I'm going to quit. I can't win, so I'm going to start bending the rules, or not even bending the rules, but abusing the rules, right? Like, those types of things are disappointing to me. And something that I think I'd like to see just overall as a league, the few that are struggling in those areas to kind of work on. Because we do have great things like this podcast, like all the content. I mean, there's 4 and 5 articles daily on the website. The Tony Bono Show, the Twitter accounts, the Game of the Weeks that'll start coming out today. Like, there's just so much content and Brotherhood and other games that we all play. Red Dead Redemption is going to be out in like 2 months or whatever it is, and that's going to bring you a new life. H1Z1, FIFA, like all these other games a lot of people play here that keep you busy and keep you plugged in. Yeah, just it disappoints me whenever I hear people say, well, I can't win, so I'm going to leave. So it's definitely something that I think owners can work on. and that we can all kind of just work on together. So just really quick, our last little segment is something that we wanted to add into our show each and every week at the very end of our segments. Our Outside of the League in the Grown Folks Community segment. We've got 3 other Madden leagues that are main Madden leagues here. We got the OMFL 2, we got the TFL, and of course the NBC. And those guys are going to send me just some weekly updates for every show. So in the NBC, they're already seeing a lot of very key injuries. Saquon Barkley's out for 8 weeks with a collarbone. OBJ, the Giants are hit really hard. He's out 4 weeks with a broken hand. DeForest Buckner with the 49ers is out 8 weeks with back spasms. Ryan Kerrigan with the Redskins is out 8 weeks with an Achilles tendon tear. Good thing they didn't lose him for the season. And then Phillip Rivers is out 8 weeks with a bruised knee for the Chargers. If you look at the rookies, some leading rookies in the NBC, Baker Mayfield with the Browns is already leading the lead through 3 games with 1,030 yards. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense is tearing down defenses, averaging 460 total yards per game. And then the Houston Texans defense is building their own wall. They're becoming the new South Wall. I guess that's the wall that President Trump has talked about building over in Texas this whole time. They're stopping every offense that they see, allowing just 195 yards a game for the Texans defense. So that's your update for the NBC. The TFL has started playing. They didn't get to send me their updates. I don't know what happened there, but I know that they're playing. They're finally full. They're running pretty smoothly, so it's good to see them. They've got a really great logo that you can see on our website, so some new updates that are going to come out for them. And the OMFL 2 is getting very close. I think they're in week 2 of the preseason. They're almost completely full. There's another 5 or 6 guys in the applications chat. If any owner that would like to play them to help me get some FPR pass, please just let me know. I can definitely tag some help to get some of these guys played and get them approved so we can get the OMFL 2 full. But they're in week 2. I think they should be starting in the next 48 hours or so with their season. And then we're going to have all 4 of the main leagues rolling. The Grown Folks Wrestling is still going. I think we have another 3 or 4 shows before we take a couple week break before the new game comes out in the end of October. FIFA, the new FIFA game is dropping soon. H1Z1 group is always active. So lots and lots of stuff to keep us going. The NASCAR League, I'm hearing rumors, is supposed to start back this next week. I know that was really popular for a little bit there. You can find new stuff on the website every single day. I mean, I can't even keep up with all the new content that's dropping, and so you can't say that you're bored here. And then I'm going to give another little plug. I gave one the other day, but if you're looking for something new, something different to keep you entertained, check out our GFW shows. Guys put tons and tons of hours. Dawson's in that league with me. Guys put tons of time writing role plays. It's really, really entertaining. The matches are fun to watch. The role plays and the stories that are being told are super, super entertaining. So there's tons of fun stuff. If you're looking for something different, please go check that out for us. And then if you're just into Madden, there's tons of new Madden material that's out there. I'll be dropping some new highlights from my team today, and then I'll try to do a game of the week later this afternoon. So lots of fun stuff that's coming. Guys, help me put a bow on the show. We are over an hour deep. My wife's giving me the stank eye from the couch across from me, so it's time to go ahead and put a bow on this. D-Wayne, put a bow on the show as we get through week 3 here in season 80.
Man, I think we've covered a lot of content. I think we got a good show. It's been a long time since all 4 of us got on here together. So I think you get 4 great minds and 4 different point of views in a lot of different ways. I'm excited. I think the league's been super excited. I don't think I've seen excitement like this. Even with some teams coming off, just some rough starts, the excitement has stayed. I ain't seen nothing like this in a while. Just like I said, I think Dawson said it best when he say, just remember, even on your worst days here, we're still here as a community and here as a group of friends, rather than trying to cut each other's throats in Madden. I think he said it well when he said that it's still community over everything here, and we're just a group of brothers and friends that are here to have a good time and escape from this crazy world.
Dawson, put a bow on the show for me.
Yeah, pretty much said it all. So I just keep it simple. Go Hogs today. Hopefully they get get a win, and just everybody play clean. Turn in your feedback forms. Gold sheet is popping. Looks like the house won last night, but yeah, just having questions, just DM anybody, any of the board members or any other members, and we'd be glad to help you out.
Yeah, I need everybody to be an LSU Tiger fan today. So if you can just support me in that, I'd appreciate that. Maniac, put a bow on the show, buddy.
Hey, it's been awesome to be back with you guys. I know I missed, I think, the last couple of shows, and the league is going really well. The season's going well, and I know I've been negative on some things and stuff, but I know I've got 2 wins underneath my belt. And like I said, last Madden, I hated the game, but I was actually good at it. This Madden, I actually like the game, and I'm not so good at it. So
you're 2-1. Get out of here with that.
But guys, we are a family and a brotherhood here, and we like to cut up and different things like that. But respect everybody. Play the FPR like we need to, and let's play some OMFL football.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of feedback forms. Good reminder, Dawson, for that. Please get those feedback forms in. There is an incentive plan, and if you get less than 6 in, you could be removed from the league. And so it's something we take very, very seriously. I know I had a rough conversation with an owner that I love deeply, who felt bad about, quote unquote, telling on his boy. That is not what this is about. This is not we're not elementary students, we're adults. And if somebody has some FPR issues that they need to work on, then we need that real, authentic, honest feedback, and we need you guys to supply that, or none of this system works. So get those games of the week submitted. If you have a great game that you want to do, get that submitted. Check out the latest hot seat. I'm going to try to get a new one out today, but I did a hot seat with 00 the other day. Make sure that you check that out. ! hot seat, or OMFL hot seat. You can read that article. Just lots and lots of really, really great things. And you know what? At the end of the day, it just felt good to have the band back together again. All 4 of us back together. Maniac working on 20 minutes of sleep. Dawson finally hid away from his wife for an hour so that he could get some things done. And we just didn't have to hear me and D. Wayne. So I appreciate you guys a ton. Thanks for tuning into the show. We will see all of you guys next week. Have a great week. God bless. Much love. Peace.
Later, guys.
Later.
Hook 'em horns.